I find it interesting though that maybe every founder you have always that moment where it's the first time, it could be small or big, that you make money with your work. You get rewarded, sometimes more than what you were expecting, but it just kind of comes in this like level of abundance. So was that the first time that you were hit with the power of open source software, and how much the world was it felt like a big place but also small, meaning, hey, if I actually do a good piece of code or a good piece of like a product, like it can be useful for millions of people around the world. And how did that feel, and what, how is it that actually changed your life,
Yeah, I think that that was probably like the time when put me on this path of thinking globally. It was a very like I think a key moment, this coming to that realization that not just as a software could scale beyond your country's like borders, but also that you could sell and make real money selling abroad and selling to different markets. Uh, and you could even compete on markets that maybe you thought were uh, too hard to enter or unattainable. So I think it was definitely what put me on that path, on this path of wanting to go international, wanting to use open source as a distribution mechanism and engine for innovation. So I think it's interesting when you look back and those little moments. I don't even know why. What was I thinking specifically at the time when I decided to publish as an open source? Maybe it was a more out of curiosity to see how many people would maybe like my project or what people would comment it about. And then you think, look backwards and see like, wow, that was such a defining moment that I didn't even put much thought into it. Right? Like wasn't
But that's the
it was
beauty of
just
it.
an
I think
experiment.
you
Yeah.
were flowing, right? Like it's that whole thing about the mindfulness of just being present, and you were just truly connected, and you executed, and you felt that that was your calling in life. There's beauty in that process. And I think that that's when all the professional developments for everyone really, it happens. I had a similar situation when I made a decision of wanting to be a professional venture capitalist, and I've always had this feeling that I could do a good job if I had, enough determination and luck in this industry. But when I got my first job as an associate at Funders Club, it was the same thing, and I was working very hard, being always one of the first people to arrive, one of the last few to leave, and I would go on weekends by myself to just do some research. And over time, as I was working with founders, I realized, I was like, oh, now most people in this industry, they don't work hard, they don't show up on time, they don't follow their promises. This is why you only have a small number of firms that are always at the top. um, and but it was a natural process. I wasn't really thinking about it until you kind of feel it, and you're like, oh, there's an opportunity here. I think I should really explore it. So it's funny how these moments,
Yeah,
they really
I think
define who you are.
I think the role that we have in those moments is realizing, because a lot of people maybe they're just gonna pass through and not be open to understand what is actually going on getting to those realizations, right?